good afternoon and welcome to the Queensland State Netball Centre for the HART Sapphire Series Round 12 game between the Brisbane North Cougars and the Carina League's Tigers. I'm joined in commentary today with David Mills, former Australian outdoor coach. Great to have you here.
Sim, it's a pleasure to be here.
Debut.
First time with the Netball Queensland comp, yes.
Excellent. So what do you know of competition?
I know it's an amazing competition. It changed from when I was coaching in the league, so it's now called the HART Series, Sapphire Series.
Yep.
It's basically the same still got the regions and all that sort of stuff. Still some incredibly good quality players, and they feed into the Suncorp Super Netball and the A&L.
Oh, so you know plenty.
Oh, I know a little bit, yeah. Haven't been that far removed from it.
No, not at all. So we look at the competition ladder for so far. So the Cougars are on top with the QT Wildcats in at second place. So they've actually moved in to that place after last week's rounds. We have the Ipswich Jets in third and the Bond University Bull Sharks are in fourth at the moment. But the result today will actually influence that position on the ladder. Carina Leagues and the Bull Sharks are fighting out for fourth. So this game is going to be a cracker this afternoon.
Absolutely. The Tigers probably would have thought coming into the season, I thought might have been a little bit higher up the ladder, but they've had a few shock results, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they're sitting currently in fifth. If they win today, of course, they bump back into fourth. But Cougars 8-2, hard to beat them.
No, not at all. So if we have a look at the starting line for the Cougars, what we would expect: Holland back at shooter with Hunt in a goal attack, Chanel Dyron captain at wing attack, Macy Gardner centre, Maddie Hinchliff at wing defence, Ruby Bakewell-Doran and Remy Kamo in the back line there. We have on the bench Mia Stour, Ali McLeod and Bella Sorby, coached by the ever-experienced Liz White. If you want to take us through the Tigers, Millsy.
Excellent. Amy Somerville kicks off at the goal shooter spot. Alexia Baker at GA. Alana Schuster at wing attack. Katie Walker in the centre. Claire Haig is at the wing defence. Alana Schuster at the GD. Leah Middleton the keeper. Leaving a bench of Chanel Gomes, Maddie Grant, Madison Cooley and Lily Gribble. Of course, coached by Tracy Bruce.
Yeah,
so,
a big game today for both teams. The Cougars drew last week against the Bull Sharks down on the Gold Coast. So from their kind of perspective, they would be disappointed with that result. The Bull Sharks, on the other hand, would have been wanting to win that game. If we have a look at the umpires for this afternoon, we have Cara Winterborn and Jess Lakem on screen there, who will officiate today's match.
Excellent.
So you see the teams moving onto the court. What's your tip, Millsy? Early in the game?
Oh, I'm going to go Cougars by 27.
27?
27. I'm
wow.
Cougars by 27.
That's a massive call.
I'm a bit torn because Tracy Bruce is one of my former coaches when I was a young lad playing, and so I hope she does well, but I just can't see the Liz White coach team doing anything but dominate.
Yeah, definitely. So if we have a look, actually, the line has changed a little bit to what we expected. So we've got Claire Haig in the middle, Alana Schuster back at wing defence, and Katie Walker on the wing attack.
So everything's in readiness.
27. So are you aware that each quarter there's bonus points up for offer?
Yes, I don't quite understand that, but because you look at the table, they've scored 170 points. But anyway, I'm sure you'll talk me through it.
Definitely.
I was just going by margin, not by points.
Yeah, not by the early turnover.
Cougars away early.
Cougars doing what they do so very well.
Nice transition, isn't it?
Yeah, their transition is so slick and smooth. So the Tigers are going to have to make sure that they can try and delay and disrupt that a little bit. Or it may be a 27 deficit. I'm not sure on that margin, but we'll have a look and see.
And what's your tip, Simone?
I think the Cougars will get up, but I believe it'll be closer.
Closer than 27?
Yeah, I think maybe 5.
I'm always the optimist.
So the Tigers return the favour and have turned the ball over from the Cougars in possession. So we see former teammates in Claire Haig and Macy Gardner in the opposition centre position.
It's a very experienced Tigers side. I'm surprised they're where they are on the ladder.
Yeah, look, I think they probably haven't been playing as well as what they would hope, but absolutely experienced. And I think if they get in the 4, then they'll shake up the finals. The Bull Sharks, on the other hand, are a younger side. They're probably the youngest side in the competition. So
Full of enthusiasm.
Full of enthusiasm and quite unpredictable, which is great, but also if you're the coach of that team can also be
Tell you, right.
stressful at times.
Been there, my friend.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a scrappy start early on.
Yeah, definitely.
Another turnover. This time Kamo.
Yeah, Kamo did a great job there on Somerville to turn the ball over. Somerville's been one of the highest shooters in the competition so far. Amy Somerville back at shooter for the Tigers this afternoon, but she's also been given a run for money by Riley Holland, who is a net goal shooter for the Cougars. So it could be a battle of the shooters. Well,
as you say, Somerville's hit 386 out of 460 this season for 84%, so she's looking good.
She is looking good. So after almost 3 minutes, it's only been 2 goals scored, Millsy. What do you...
Yeah, both teams feeling each other out. They're obviously both very good defensive sides, and they've caused a few turnovers. That's the first shot there to the Tigers. So they're finally on the board. I guess my 27 is looking a little scratchy.
There's still a lot of game to be played, but I'm still not sure about 27. But anyway, Tigers doing a much better job there defensively to slow that flow of the Cougars.
Second chance here for Hunt. And she makes no mistake. So you've done a lot of these games, Sam?
I have actually. I've been, had the opportunity to watch a lot of these games. So I'm not sure. I was thinking about it this afternoon when I was on my way here, whether I'd watched this matchup earlier on, and I think I did, and the Cougars got away with that result.
Indeed, Cougars did win last time, 60-45. So, hence my prediction. Did my research.
Yeah, well done.
So another turnover gives the Tigers a chance to tie it up.
Amy Somerville rarely misses from here, but I've put the commentator's curse on her.
It's a rookie error, Sim.
Yeah. Amy Somerville, captain of the Queensland Fusion for this year, and also was on the court for the Queensland Firebirds earlier on this season when Tipper Dawn was injured. So a great shooter, a great target for the Tigers. So we have Katie Walker running in at wing attack this afternoon, and the most valuable player for this tournament this year will be awarded the Katie Walker Sapphire, which is an award sponsored by Legassic. So a great award to recognise the most valuable player. Tips on whether Walker may win her own award.
It'd be nice if she did.
Yeah.
So she brings a lot of experience to this team with her National League experience, and seems to have been around for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic ambassador for the game, and like you said, of being part of this competition through its kind of iterations over the years, has been a regular participant. So it would be great to see her to win it. However, I think she'll have lots of competition for that award. There's been some great performances during the season. We're in round 12, so we've only got 2 rounds to go after this afternoon.
Another goal there, keeps the margin at 2. So after that initial turnover, it's been pretty even.
It has, hasn't it? Both teams look a little bit more settled. However, they probably don't have the flow that they would be used to and would be wanting to build up. She's missed 2 since you talked her up. I know, right? Lucky her defenders have been able to win the ball back.
Yeah, another turnover there.
Once she hits her, finds her eye, Millsy, you'll see what I was talking about.
I have watched a couple of games. She's quite good, actually. Both shooters struggling a little bit at the moment. Good contest there from Como. There it is.
There it is. She did very well to take, fall over, rebalance and shoot.
I think both teams are just sort of feeling each other out. They're like, it's still very stop-startish, isn't it?
Yeah.
After that, we had that one transition by Cougars, but after that, it's been very, every ball's been contested.
Yeah.
No easy passage into the circle.
No, definitely not.
Again, scrappy play, but Cougars come up with it.
And I think that's an example of just all those balls being contested, like you just said, Millsy. No easy ball for anybody.
Probably could have ripped that one in a little harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Gardner. Good tip.
Oh. Geez, a lot being asked of someone this afternoon.
Her friends are not looking after her out there. Bit of a rubbish ball. She nearly got it. Great effort.
Yeah, great work there by the Cougars. The Tigers had shut down that first phase really well, but they were able to open it up.
Biggest lead of the game to the Cougs.
I know, they're building, Millsy.
24 to go.
Great contest there by Leah Middleton.
I've been pretty excited about this competition. Like, it's been more professional than anything we've probably put out in a number of years, from just an outsider looking in.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not involved in any of the teams or coaching or any of the regions. It just seems like a really professionally run competition, and kudos to Netball Queensland for, you know, making the hard decision, get it started, and, you know, it seems like all the clubs are responding.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great summary of kind of all the work, all the hard work that's gone on behind the scenes by Netball Queensland and all of the clubs that are associated in the Sapphire this year. You know, it's taken a collective effort, but definitely driven by Netball Queensland. So, you know, first year you expect a few teething, you know, issues, but I don't think there've been anything major that kind of wouldn't expect.
Another loose ball in there to Summerall. They are making her earn her dollars today.
Definitely.
So, with the margin of 3 or 4, is it, you know, panic stages for the Tigers like this early on?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, from what I've seen and what I know of a lot of these players, and even Tracy, they wouldn't really be happy with where they are, but they're not out of the game by any stretch. I think once they do hit their kind of guns, like that shot by Somerville, they'll be back in the game. I think the thing for the Tigers, though, with this game is that they want the result, but they also want as many bonus points as possible. So each quarter is worth 2 points for a team. So at the moment, the Cougars are in great position to take the first 2 points of this game. And from a ladder perspective, given the Bull Sharks got all 18 points this afternoon, means that they need to not only win but actually win all of the quarters this afternoon. So extra pressure for the Tigers, but they definitely have the team and experience to do so. But unfortunately, not with plays like that.
Yeah, they seem to be not respecting the ball at the moment. Camo got lucky there.
She did. Walker did everything she possibly could to try and win that ball back for her team.
When I was coaching this league, Walker was the fastest player in the comp. Is she still lightning?
Yeah, look, she's got great timing. I think she probably absolutely one of the fittest for a mum of 4, which is fantastic. Fantastic bragging rights.
Amazing.
No, and still mixes it with those players less aged than herself.
Yeah, wonder what word you were going to choose there. Good boards.
Yeah, great rebound there by Alexia Baker.
Third time's a charm. They needed that, the Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they eventually get it in.
So is there any other players on court, Millsy, from your time of coaching the competition that you remember?
We had, actually, Kamo was actually at the Lions when I was there, but she was in the second, the younger side, the second team, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So she was coming through our system. I think there a lot of these girls were playing in that second.
Yeah.
That was 2012 last time I was coaching, so it's been a while.
It's been a while.
So, yeah. But Katie Walker was dominating any team I coached then, and still seems like she's dominating the competition now.
She, yes.
In between having lots of children.
Yeah.
So, marching back to 2, Sim.
I know, right? So the Tigers really will be wanting to take this quarter and every quarter this afternoon, but certainly they are starting to find their feet a bit more. And Somerville is finally starting to do what I
found a range.
knew that she could.
On a 3-0 run here. So the bonus points obviously very important in this competition.
Yeah, really important.
Just like in Suncorp Super Netball.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, teams rewarded not just for the result, but for their consistency through the game. So,
another loose pass there.
another concept that I'm not sure if you're familiar with is the rolling subs that are available in this competition. So we've not seen any yet, and we may not through the game, given how tight it is, but there does not need to be a stoppage in play for a player to enter and leave the court.
Do you like that, Sim?
Yeah, we had it as part of the Australian National League this year. It's actually quite challenging for the coach, really. I think, you know, to know when to make the call and why to make the call. So it's not a bad concept, but it's certainly one that's different to what we would have experienced.
I think the Cougars got a lucky call there. It looked like they came off them last.
Yes.
Great positioning there. Under the hoop. Should make no mistake. Oh, have I done the curse? No.
No, not in this occasion.
So Holland gets another margin back to 4. Tigers got it to 1.
Yes.
So Cougars respond with their 3-0 run of their own.
I think if we have a look at some of these stats, Melzy, it's been the centre pass conversion really that's been killing the Tigers in this first quarter. So 91 for the Cougars compared to 73 of the Tigers. So if they can pick that up.
I was just watching there that the Cougars dropped into a zone, like the goal attack, wing attack come down and make a fairly deep zone, and yep. Tigers struggling to get through the Cougars zone at the moment. Yes.
And not a bad play for the Cougars, given Amy Somerville likes to exit the circle, so if they can get her out, then they often have no one at home. Or thought the Tigers may have been able to win that ball back, but Gomez asked to stand out of play.
Of course, that's Chanel Gomez.
Chanel Gomez, yeah, former Diamond.
She was around when I was coaching. She was down at Wildcats area.
Yes. Yes, a lot of those...
went over to Perth, I believe, is that right?
Yeah, she was with the Fever for a few years and then returned to Queensland only a couple of years ago. The first player actually to return after a hip replacement on the netball court. So she likes to refer to her hip as her bionic hip. She's the bionic woman, so...
She's moving well.
Yeah, great to see. She's done a tremendous amount of work to get herself back onto the court and to be playing at this level.
She just forced that turnover there.
Yeah.
Her arm's over. So...
Recently engaged, Gomez, so...
Congratulations.
Yes, lots happening in her life, but yeah, like I said, great to see her back on the court.
Walker in total control up there. They need to score here, 22 seconds left. Both shooters out of the circle. And the turnover.
Unfortunate turnover there. Well, Amy Somerville looks like she's injured in
hobbling.
back play.
10 seconds to go. They've got to go long here, the Cougars. And they are bringing it back. 4 seconds. Can we get it straight in? Cannot.
And we see that there was a rolling subs change there with Alana Schuster off and Lily Gribble on at wing defence, who took that last intercept. So the Cougars take the lollies for that first quarter, Millsy, 14-11. Quite dominant in their centre pass conversion. Anything else that you can see? Centre turnover conversion?
The defence is the main thing. Like they're playing a very deep zone, and that's causing a bit of trouble for the Tigers, forcing Somerville to come out of the circle, which is probably, I mean, I haven't watched a lot of her games, but I don't think that is her game. But she's coming out of the circle a lot, and therefore the Tigers are working twice as hard, it appears, as the Cougars to get it into that circle. Probably wasn't the best start for either side. There was a lot of turnover early on, but you know, when they had a bit of a run there, the Tigers. They got it back to 1. It was 10-6, then all of a sudden 10-9, and now the Cougars on a bit of a roll, and they pushed it out to the margin to 3 again.
Yes. Great summary there of that first quarter. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in a minute. welcome back to the second quarter between the Brisbane North Cougars and the Carina Leagues Club Tigers. I'm joining commentary this afternoon with David Mills. Millsy, what did you like about that first quarter?
Cougars, I like them a lot. They're playing extremely
old.
The second half of that quarter, they started playing better. I thought both teams were a bit scrappy at the first probably 7 or 8 minutes. But now, after they've had a bit of a chat and a refreshment, I'm sure both teams will come out firing a lot more. Mind you, another missed shot there, which has sort of been plaguing the Tigers a little bit. So shooting stats are down for that first quarter. So, but as opposed to the shooter from Cougars, Holland, she's at 100%.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely showing that the Cougars are more likely to score when they do enter the goal circle through the work that Holland in particular is doing. The Tigers were probably a little bit down in the shooting percentage compared to what they have been.
So it's only a margin of 4, but I don't think they'd want to be much more than that at half time.
No, definitely not. And they actually want to be winning quarters, the Tigers, this afternoon. So they obviously want the match, but they need more than just the 10 points. They need as many points as they can because that's going to influence their place on the ladder.
So being a little bit of a novice, you get 10 for the win and 2 for each quarter. Is that correct?
That is correct,
okay.
Yes.
Interesting. 10 for a win.
10 for a win, yes.
That was 5 wins in the old days to get 10. So
10 for a win. There's been a few draws. The Cougars drawed last week, so obviously share that those points. So we see Lily Gribble is in at wing defence for the Tigers. We saw a rolling sub change late in the first quarter. Lily, a younger athlete, playing in the 17s Queensland team and being nationally TID'd earlier this year. Great vertical jump, so it'll be interesting to see what she can do. Usually she's back a defender, back in the circle, but Tracy Bruce obviously wants to see what she can do out on the wing.
So I see Somerville seems to have a knee strapped up. She copped a knock late in the first quarter. They've taken no precautions with it, but some pretty heavy strapping on there.
They did. She, in back play, you could see her limping and trying to walk it out a bit. So, great.
Nearly a great save.
Yeah, it was almost a great save, but she did very well to keep it in play, Dyer. So Cougars, up until that last little bit, the Tigers had much better flow. Great feed there by Katie Walker.
Yeah, she's certainly feeling troublesome with that knee. Like that last shot was a bit rusty because of the knee. Like it didn't bend it. Yet the technique was poor. She's better there. So Tigers on a roll again.
On a roll at the moment.
3 straight. They've started this quarter well.
Can they maintain?
For the viewers at home, I hope so.
I think they can.
Still shooting at 100. Yeah. Holland.
Holland has got her eye in this afternoon, which is not a good sign for the Tigers. So Gomez and Middleton are going to have to do all they very can to try and put her off that shot of hers. Easier said than done, though.
I could imagine. She started impressively. Stepping on, never a good thing there.
So from having coached the men more recently, Millsy, what's the biggest difference between, obviously, the gender, but are there different styles of game?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously the size is the main thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen any men's, but the current Australian and Queensland shooter, Junior Levy,
yes.
7'2", 219 centimetres, 125 kilos, moves like a Santa.
Yes.
So obviously height is a big thing in the men's game. And therefore the game is not as skilled. Like the ladies here, skill level miles in front of the men. Having said that, the men are catching up,
yep.
But it's an aerial game. It's a more physical game. There's a lot more contest.
Yep.
I won't say contact. I'll say contest, which results in more contact. It's just a different game. It's the same rules and everything, but it is just played differently. Ironically, most of the clubs these days in the Suncorp Super Netball are aligned with a state team, and they're playing consistently against the men, which is, I think, benefiting the league as well. Because that Suncorp Super Netball has become ridiculously tough now. So,
absolutely.
As is this league here, it's starting to get tougher and tougher. So, just I've only been here 10 minutes, and comparing it to where it was when I left, it's a lot faster. It's a lot harder. a lot more contest for balls. I think that's a big thing I'm noticing here.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, the players all in this league now are really, training in that elite environment. They have strength and conditioning coaches, their nutrition and their physio and all those sorts of things are monitored far more than they were before, probably when you were involved with the competition, which then obviously increases the standard to what we have today across all of the teams.
Well, in my day, Jim was the bloke that put goalpost pads on. No one ever went to gym, so unless you want the pads put on, so it was. It just wasn't a thing. You know what I mean? Some of the individuals would go to the gym, but it wasn't something that there's no budget for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, that memberships are not cheap, and I can't be more impressed with what's happening here, and the standard of netball will increase. Like the Firebirds and Sunny Coast Lightning, they're going to get the benefit of this in a few years' time. Great intercept there. So
yeah, definitely.
But we're going back.
A penalty, I think, to the Tigers though, so they stay in possession.
Shame.
So we see another rolling sub with Ali McLeod coming in on to the wing attack position for the Cougars as they win the possession back again.
Another turnover.
I know. So
entry into the circle is proving difficult for the Tigers, which surprises me with Katie Walker out there.
Yes, but it does show that she probably needs a little bit of help from her teammates. She's good, but she can't be expected
carry
to play
everyone.
to carry that whole attack. And I like her back out wing attack for this Tigers team because she definitely does organise their attack end a lot better than what she can do when she's in the centre. And it did work for them last week in their game against the Bull Sharks. When she moved back to wing attack, it absolutely influenced their attack end. In saying that, they are against the team that has not actually been beaten this series yet. They've had a couple of draws, the Cougars, but they haven't actually suffered a proper loss.
Proper loss.
A proper loss. They would regard a draw as a loss, I'm sure, knowing Liz White.
Hard taskmaster Liz.
Yeah.
So there's 6-1 run at the moment to the Cougars. Who's got the margin back out to 7, and I reckon that's danger time.
Yeah, look, it is. We see Schuster come back onto the court at wing defence, replacing Gribble. But yeah, the Tigers, I mean, it's obvious, but they need to score the ball that they have. And they've been able to, the defenders have done a great job to win the ball back, but they haven't been rewarded by putting it through the hoop.
Well, yeah, so that is true. Do you think the rolling sub breaks continuity of a team?
I think that's why it's such a it's a challenge for the coach to understand why that what the substitution is actually being made for.
Yeah.
I think at times it can inject something different.
Nice use of the triangle there. Unfortunately, it fell apart.
I think it's harder than potentially what you may think it is. That certainly was our experience at A&L.
Couldn't see me doing it. Because we talk so much about combinations, and we talk about we want to the big thing in netball, like combinations, familiarity with your teammates, and then to be changing it almost for change's sake. Yeah. It just you'd have to have a very definite purpose of why you'd be making the change.
Yeah, and I think it's really just to try and eliminate that. The stoppages for injury or those sorts of things to make a change when coaches actually do want to make a change. So it's a new concept being trialled.
So you're saying coaches sometimes fake injuries?
No. Yes, I have seen you do that on more than one occasion. Also,
it hurts because it's true.
Also, as part of the competition
timeouts?
Is actually tactical timeouts.
Well, they need one because they're down by 9. The Cougars are just dominating this part. They've scored 9 of the last 11, and they got the margin out to 9. So, yeah, probably a good move there by Tracy Bruce.
Yeah, definitely. And again, when and I keep emphasising the quarters, but they absolutely do. They do count for the Tigers today, and currently they're down 12-6 in this quarter, so they're not looking likely to win it.
So if the Tigers don't win any quarters and they don't win the game, they get 0 points.
0 points.
Excellent. And the Cougars would get 18.
Yes, they would. Right. Yes, 18 points. And
taking them to a total of 188.
It would, yes.
Seems awfully high for a 7-team comp. So, but well done.
Yes. And for the Tigers, it's going to influence their place on the ladder.
Yeah, well, we saw a live ladder before, and they're already sitting in 5th.
They're already in 5th, so if they don't win any points today, then they're going to stay there.
So the Bull Sharks took on the Northern Rays today.
They did, yeah, up in Townsville, I believe.
And got the maximum?
Got the maximum 18 points. So, yeah, it makes it interesting. We've only got 2 rounds left after this weekend, so no team really is, well, except for probably the top 2, I think, maybe 3.
Cougars, Wildcats, Jets.
Yeah, but that 4th position is really up for grabs at the moment. So we see any changes, Millsy? Did Tracy Bruce make any changes as a result of that timeout? I don't believe so. Definitely not down this attack end.
I can't
no,
see any, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
No.
Again, the ease of the Cougars' offense compared to the Tigers' offense is frightening a little bit.
Yeah, and it's only getting warmed up. I think they, would be, they certainly could increase their flow more than what they have. And with turnovers like that,
late call.
Late call.
Wants to take the shot. Out to Walker. Nice setup there. Oh, loose pass though. See the Cougars, they're double teaming every chance they get and get the turnover. Let's check the transition. Looks impressive. Spoke too soon.
Yeah. Got a little bit excited there.
Absolutely
on that
threw it away.
Pass,
killing me. So.
Commentators curse.
Oh, yeah. I do it all the time. I do a lot of the men's national titles, and yeah, every time. Junior level, you're shooting 100%, then you miss.
And then you miss.
So.
Yes. But nothing's going right for the Tigers down in this attack end at the moment, is it?
No.
Looks like there's been another rolling sub up the back line with Chanel Gomez on the bench.
Indeed.
So have a look and see who she's been replaced with.
It's very hard to keep up with that. I'm not used to that at all.
You will be, Millsy, if you do any more.
And do you have any of these players in your realm of coaching at the moment?
I had Macy Gardner was co-captain of the Queensland 19s that I had this year, and was also awarded Most Valuable Player of the National Underage 19s Tournament, Queensland Firebears training partner. So Mace was part of that team. Mia Stower, who's not on the court for the Cougars at the moment, she's on the bench, was also a member of that team. And Madison Cooley, who's not on the court at the moment, but is a member of the Tigers team.
So Cougars are still shooting at 100% for the quarter, which means Holland hasn't missed a shot for the match either. So she's currently sitting, I think, on 18 out of 18. She was 10 from 10 in the first, 8 from 8 in the second. So she's having some match. Great boards there by Kamo.
Yeah, no, Holland is, fantastic shooter.
Came into this game at shooting 218 out of 241, that 90%. That's pretty impressive statistics.
It is pretty good.
It's pretty hard to say statistics, isn't it?
Statistics, yeah.
So, surprised I got it out.
Yeah, so. Riley Holland, a member of the Queensland Fusion this year, and shot similarly. So, not surprising, given what she did on the National League court, to see her doing it out here on the Sapphire court. But in saying that, she's up against former or Fusion teammates in Leah Middleton.
There's a lot of turnover ball at the moment on both sides. Yeah,
definitely. Just as we come to the end of this second quarter, there is a lot of ball being sprayed. We see Maddie Grant has entered at goal shooter for the Tigers, replacing Amy Somerville, who's gone to the bench.
Do you think that's a knee thing? She seems like she's getting it strapped there, right? They're looking at it again right now.
Yeah, look.
The edge of our picture.
Yes, she is getting some attention to the knee. Look, I think they probably do need to do something down in that attack end, given the score. Currently down by 6 in this quarter.
Cougars looking after the back space beautifully there.
Yeah, great. Vinny and Hunt, so aerial and strong. Very hard to beat in that scenario. Chanel Dyer has returned to the court in at centre, replacing Macy Gardner, who's gone to the bench. So
margin of 11. Not even at half time.
I know, Millsy, you might have been right. I'm not going to say you were.
It's bound to happen.
Might have happened once before in your life, has it?
1982, I think. Last time I won an argument.
Claire Haig.
Seems to be a lack of confidence in that circle at the moment. Not sure where to go. Bodies in the wrong areas.
Yeah.
Passes coming in astray. And another turnover.
They just look like they've lost their connection. Like one of the, their strengths, particularly if you look at who they've got both on the court at the moment and also on paper in terms of who's on the bench. Great experience. The core of this group have been together for a long time in the Tigers, but they just don't look like they're connected.
I think the back three of Hinchliffe, Bakewell, Dorian and Kamo are doing a brilliant job. Like there seems to be a lot of chemistry there and they're moving around well, and if one misses one, the other one picks it up, and there's just pressure across the entire defensive third of the Cougars end.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, those players in particular have been together in the Cougars environment for many years. Both Hinchliffe and Bakewell Doran are current Firebird training partners and play for the Queensland Fusion, so they've got that really strong connection, and that's absolutely showing this afternoon.
So Kamo again with the turnover. This is a chance here. Oh.
This is off.
It's in with 5 seconds to go. Another goal to the Cougars. They're in the middle of 6 straight. So
see the end of that quarter, the Cougars winning that quarter 19-8, Millsy.
Well, they went on a 14-5 run after the Tigers again fought back. They got 3 straight of their own, and then 14-5 run to the Cougs. Margin of 14. 27 is looking a bit skinny. I might have increased that. But 100% shooting, you can't beat that. 19 from 19, like great volume, great percentage.
Absolutely.
It's hard to stop that. And unfortunately for the Tigers, they only got 8 out of 13, so not big volume. And they've had to take their star shooter off. Looks like she's got an injured knee. So problems are plenty for the Tigers at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. I think the fact that both shooters are shooting at 100%, sharing the load, and like you said, great volume, is the difference, or certainly was the difference in that quarter. Cougars will be really happy with where they're at. The Tigers obviously not so much. We'll have a look and see if there are any changes as we go to halftime break, and we'll come back and have a look at the stats going into the second half. Thanks. Welcome back to the second half of the round 12 match between the Brisbane North Cougars and the Carina League's Tigers. Rosie, when we were looking at some of the stats from the first half, what were some of the things that you noticed?
Well, a 72% conversion rate for the Cougs. That was pretty impressive. So they created 18 turnovers, scored off them 14 times, which is impressive. Only 13 turnovers created by the Tigers, and they had a lower percentage. I think that's the difference. And the 100% shooting stat, you
can't beat that.
It's
really,
a dream, isn't it? Yeah. You know, it's a coach's dream. So for the actual Cougars, they're 33 out of 35 for the match. So they're currently, 21 out of 21 for their shooter, which is Holland, and Hunt is 12 of 14. Like that's very impressive statistics. You'd be happy with that in any level of netball. So.
Absolutely. We see that as the teams have returned to court, there's been some mass changes and reorganisation in the Carina League's team, which is probably expected. What do you say, Millsy?
Yeah, well, Walker's gone to centre, so she's going to have the ball in her hands a lot more, and that's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So
she stays on at wing attack. Somerville's returned, and Madison Cooley's come on at wing defence. So we'll have a look and see what this new lineup does. They've got a little bit of work to do, though, if they want to not only kind of pull back this lead, but they also need to think about the quarters. They really need to win some of these quarters this afternoon, and the way they're going at the moment, you don't think that looks likely. Indeed.
So that last, the Cougars in that quarter, like towards the end of it, they went on a 14-5 run, and that's certainly made all the difference, and that's given the big margin. It's still 15.
So we see the Tigers in possession at the moment, but they were able to keep possession. Thought it was going to be the Cougars. I know, I thought the Cougars were about to throw it in, but no. Lexi Baker going for a shot now. Great shot by Baker. They really needed that one.
And they brought their superstar shooter back on, Somerville, so that's good. That means the knee's not that bad, which is very positive.
Yeah, always great to see players returning after having time off for an injury.
Knees and netball are not a good thing. Great effort there.
Oh,
great save.
Yeah. Madison Cooley, I think, hoping that would go out, but the experience of Hinchley
ran it down, threw it back in.
Tapped it back in.
Nice work. And of course, the shooter shooting 100%. That's Holland, makes no mistake
Holland
again.
I know. So they really need to think about what they can do to stop her, because at the moment she is really unstoppable.
Well, they're giving her a lot of space. I'd probably want to see them a bit tighter on her. Like, she's really just dominating the backspace and then just has basically the whole circle to herself at times. So.
And that is one of her strongest attributes, Holland, is that she's not a holder and she's not just a mover. She can do both, which makes it really hard to defend against. But Leah Milton there, I was going to say, if anyone could do it, she could, and she successful in that turnover. But it's only half the job when they turn the ball over, the Tigers. They need to actually take it to goal.
So Dyer got a hand on that and forced the turnover. Came off the Tigers last. So just what you said, the turnover hasn't been completed, therefore they haven't scored.
Yes, and I think that would be hard for those defenders back there. They're doing all their very best to win the ball back, but they really need their attack line to step up and take that ball to goal.
It's been a better start to the quarter, like 4-3. So again, Kamo with the turnover. She's had a few this quarter, this match, sorry.
Yeah, she's been fantastic, Kamo, this afternoon. See Gardner in at wing attack for the Cougars, and Dyer's down. Look, getting a little bit ginger to get up.
She hasn't got
up
at all.
Really moved.
Oh,
so
there she goes.
May see a time call. Oh.
Yep, she's coming straight off.
Yeah. So. Not looking comfortable at all, is she?
Seemed like an ankle.
Yeah, definitely. She has suffered a calf injury earlier in the year, so it did look like an ankle the way she fell.
She's gone straight. She's grabbing her right ankle by the looks of it. Shoes coming off.
Great swing there by Gardner.
So, and of course, all these games are going live to Facebook. Is that correct? So
yes.
I can just see we've got lots of people. Lynn Down, Karen Pope. They're all watching. So.
They're all watching you, Milsey. They can't see you, but they can hear you.
Hear the dulcet tones.
I'm sure they'll be like, "Who's that voice?"
Who's that weirdo?
I recognize that voice.
So. That's the idiot from the men's. We know him. So, I was honoured to be asked, so hopefully I come back. So.
I'm sure you'll be back, Nosy.
Good control here by the Tigers. This is better.
Better build up. Oh.
Through to a double team. That's a no-no. So can Baker finish it?
Great
Boom.
shot. You can see the Cougars have done their homework. Amy Somerville for this Tigers team is the predominant shooter. Baker tends to play more of a feeding role, so they're double teaming on Somerville, I think, is in recognition of that. So they really need Baker to step up, and she's done that in this last little bit, in just turning and going to the post. Another turnover there. Just that lack of understanding.
So it's hard to watch at times, isn't it? So working hard here, the Cougars in the transition, bringing the ball down nicely. So Passage is blocked a little bit into the circle.
Yeah, look, they're doing a great job to hold it up.
They are. This has probably been the best defensive effort they've had for the match, if anything, and they force a turnover. It comes off the boot. So nice effort there by the Tigers.
Yeah, repeat.
17 more times at least. So margin of 17, 27 looking good. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm not quite going to back in on that, but yes.
Simone Nalatu, Fiji International. Come on. So.
Right. So the Tigers back in possession.
They need to convert here and can't.
Oh, Ruby backward door and.
So would some of these girls hold visions of playing Firebirds? There's some vacancies in the Firebirds with retirements, and
yeah, absolutely.
This is the creme de la creme of Queensland netball at present.
Yeah, this is our breeding ground in terms of looking to our kind of local talent to fill some of those spots. Some of the players on the court currently took the court for the Firebirds this year. So Amy Somerville, who we mentioned earlier on, Macy Gardner had some time, particularly to the end, in the back end of the Suncorp Super Netball.
And Coach Chenke is not afraid to put the younger players out there, whereas some of the coaches prefer to get internationals.
Yes.
Rosalie will definitely go with the local talent.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great sign of faith in our local talent. Probably had one of the one of the teams that had the most local players, Australian players, particularly at the beginning of the season. Injuries obviously influenced that towards the back end of the Firebirds season, but great to see a lot of training partners on this court. So whilst they may not be getting onto the Suncorp court, they're definitely getting to train on a weekly basis with those players.
Only make them better.
Absolutely.
So the transition when it goes through Walker is pretty slick for Tigers, but when it doesn't, it seems very disjointed. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that's just a great sign of her experience and leadership. Saying that, fortunately tip, but...
that wasn't a bad pass. Kamo just got around nicely.
Kamo's just too good today, isn't she?
She's on
just
fire.
Having a great game against Amy Somerville, so it's been a fantastic matchup. We see Maddie Grant's returned to the court, this time at goal attack, replacing Lexi Baker, who's gone to the bench.
Is that a chance for the Tigers? Because they're shooting at 100% again, so the possibility. Is she as good as the other shooters?
Yeah, she's a young up-and-coming player as well. I think she's a little bit unpredictable, so probably won't be, as known to Baker or Doran as, Alexi Baker would, who she would have trained week in, week out in the Firebirds environment, both Firebirds training partners. So a little bit taller, just offers something different. So we'll see how she goes.
So margin of 18, we've got 6:14 to play. Now 19.
Oh, you're
it's a long way back for the Tigers, isn't it?
It is a really long way back for them to make any headway in this match. But I'm not sure if they'll get the result, but they certainly have the ability to rein this margin in a little bit.
Great shot for Somerville there. She needs more of that. So Like 25 goals for 3/4 of netball. It's not a big volume, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. And they're not really winning the ball back either, the Tigers. I think we looked at the half-time stat and they weren't doing a very good job at winning the ball back and then obviously converting it to goals. So another example there of almost gifting the Cougars, but they've returned the favour and gifted it back.
Didn't agree with the call. They've thrown it straight back to them. So didn't think that was a hell ball. Threw it away. Good sportsmanship shown there by the Cougars.
Absolutely. So the Tigers having to work really hard to bring this ball through the centre third.
And again, both shooters, well, one's just inside, one's out. It's a tough road in for the Tigers.
Yeah, and they kept really high in this goal third, in their attacking goal third, so having to work really hard.
Somerville drains another one. She's 5 from 5 this quarter. I think the key there is she's only had 5 shots.
Yeah,
so,
true.
You know,
yeah.
And that's no reflection on herself. It's just the service hasn't been ideal.
Nice ball there by McLeod.
Lovely low ball, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right where the shooter wanted it. And surprise, surprise, Cougar another one. So they've missed 2 this quarter, the Cougars. That's 4 for the match. That's pretty impressive statistics, 45 from 49.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not against any slouches in Middleton and Gomez back there.
Player.
Yeah. No, I think it just shows the service that they've been given by...
They're taking a lot of shots at this range where they are now. They've had a lot of in close because they've been put in the spot by the passing.
Yeah.
So they haven't had to take many bombs, whereas at the other end, Somerville's thrown some big ones and obviously had to miss some too because she's a fair bay out.
Yeah, definitely. It's just the work rate that the Tigers are having to do here in attack. They're having to work really hard to get the ball even into the circle.
There's that beautiful shot you were talking about at the first
quarter.
quarter.
She's finally.
She's coming into her own.
Yeah, she is, but I think if we look, she's going to need a lot more support and a lot more service.
Holland, brilliant work there. Like that was out for all money, keeps it in. And of course they get the shot. So having said that, that was Holland's first miss for the match, I believe.
Wow.
So
in almost 3/4 of netball.
But she did the right thing and got it back. Pass only.
Yeah, offside call there by Ali McLeod. Well done. Cougars have done that particularly well this afternoon, haven't they? They've just scrapped for everything.
They look hungrier.
Yeah.
They just seem to want it more, which is surprising given where the Tigers are on the ladder and they need the win. Like, this could be their season, you know, if when you can get 400 points a game, like it could be their season, you know. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant effort again. That's exactly what we were just talking about. Again, that looked like it was going out, but saved.
Saved.
By Hunt this time. And again, hungry for the rebound, gets it. Intent to the ball, the umpire rewards it.
Yeah, really strong on her take, Hunt.
So margin of 19-2 to play in the third. I don't know what to say.
I'm not going to say anything.
So it's been goal for the last probably 8 minutes. Well, that's positive. So it's not getting any worse for the Tigers.
No, but they would be wanting to claw their lead back. Great shot there again by Somerville. It looked a little bit shaky, but she was able to put it through the hoop.
She got the shooter's roll. So that's a ball I think the Tigers could attack, the big cross-court pass.
Yeah, they've got nothing to lose, do they? Nah. And this kind of position, it's an opportunity to have a go.
You've got to go hunting. So.
Don't really need to be safe. They just need to let the ball go and see what they can do.
Play a bit of catch-up. Got a lucky break there. Took it back 3 inches. So.
Great to see Bella Sorby in that wing defence for the Cougars, returning from a knee injury. So gradually we've seen her over the last few weeks introduced and playing more and more minutes. So it's great to see her out there.
The knee's heavily strapped still, so going through the recovery process.
So Tigers did a good job to win that ball back. They really need to put it to goal. Amy Somerville.
That's what you're talking about. Said, I'll do it for Coach Sim.
So it's a better quarter from a points perspective. 16-12 to the Cougars at the moment. More than likely going to take the quarter with just over 20 seconds to go. But
it's been their highest scoring quarter. Like, they had 19 to the half. They've had 12 in this quarter alone. So the move to Walker to centre has probably helped a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And Alexia Baker out onto that wing attack is also, I think, helped in try and find those combinations and connections.
Misses the first, gets a second. So that'll be all she wrote. End of the third, 50 to 32.
What do you like about the stats, Millsy? What stands out to you from what we can see?
Brisbane North Cougars, 15 out of 15 centre pass conversions. That's impressive, but not bad from the Tigers either. 13 out of 15. That's pretty good. It just looks so much easier for the Cougars in the offensive end than it does for the Tigers. You said it before. Work rate, Tigers bust in their
tails.
I was going to say stomachs to get the ball into the circle, and it's just flowing beautifully up the other end. And I think that's got a lot to do with Riley Holland. She's really just running the circle, and whoever's at GA at the moment, Hunt, is just feeding off her beautifully. So, yeah, it's hard to. It's a long way back, and 18 at three-quarter time it'll be nearly a miracle for them to get back into this one.
Yeah, definitely. We'll take a short break as we look to go into the last and final quarter. Welcome back to the last quarter of the round 12 match between the Brisbane North Cougars and the Carina Leagues Tigers. The Cougars currently 50 to the Tigers 32, Millsy. Quite high scoring for the Cougars in particular, not so much for the Tigers.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Tigers are only averaging just over 10 a quarter, which in this level of netball is never enough. The thing was, it was written off in the second quarter when they went on a 14 to 5 run, the Cougars. That really just put the margin out of the reach of the Tigers, and it's going to need a Christmas miracle to get this one back.
Yeah, definitely.
With a margin of 18 in 15 minutes, it's
nigh
on impossible.
Yeah.
So, maybe the Tigers can at least win the quarter, get some bonus points going into the table, because they're now sitting in 5th on the live table after the win by the Sharks today.
Yes.
So, we'll see what happens. Not the best start there, but...
No, we see Mia Stowers enter the court in at goal attack.
Yeah, the Cougars shooting at 50 out of 56 for the game. That's incredible. And, of course, my new favourite player, Holland, 30 out of 31, 97%.
She'll be very happy to hear that, yes.
I've just got the stats for the shooting stats coming into the game. Like, she was the highest percentage shooter, not the highest in volume. She was 218 out of 241, 90%, and today she's at 97. So putting on a clinic for me, which is appreciated. I've never Never seen him before in my life, but
No.
she's my new favourite.
Yes,
player.
great up-and-coming talent, Riley Holland.
How old? Do you know anything about her? Like how old is she? In
Riley,
junior programs or?
Yeah, look, she's in the Queensland Fusion. She's a Firebirds training partner. She would have just exited the underage program.
Nice.
Yeah, this would have been her first year, I think. So, yeah, only quite young in the whole scheme of things and in terms of her netball kind of path. But did it, like I said earlier, she did a fantastic job. Really earning her position in at goal shooter for the Queensland Fusion this year, and shot similar, similar kind of percentages up against players that had been on the national league court or the Suncorp Super Netball court. So I think she is a star, one to watch in the future.
Well, I'm loving the way she's had 2 different goal attacks, and the way she just fits in there is just beautiful to watch. Like that play there, like she just held the backspace, waited, give it to me, and I'll take the shot, and makes no mistake. So she's a quality individual. So my first time seeing her live, so pretty impressed by her.
A fan.
Yeah, I really am. Like, I'm an
Should
old
be.
shooter myself,
Yeah.
so you tend to watch where you played, and yeah, she's excellent. So, but there she is now. What's she doing out there? Get in there. So, shooters, they never have good passes.
No.
Junior Levy, love him to death. Can't pass a ball. He wants to punch me every time I say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
So, sad day for men's netball. Junior's now in Victoria, so he won't home for Queensland this year.
Yeah,
so.
We'll be lining up in the navy blue.
Yeah, I know. So.
Be different, I'm sure, for both him and his former teammates.
Yeah, glad I'm not coaching.
Yeah.
I prefer to coach with him, not against him. So another great shot there, the Tigers.
Yeah, great shot by Maddie Grant.
So 2-2, early stages, 4th quarter.
You see the Maddie Hinchcliffe is moved into centre. So Liz wanting to mix it up a little bit, see what those other players can do. I think Maddie's great in that she offers something different. She's a bit more, obviously taller player in that middle, but also just a little bit more calming and controlled. And Liz is probably looking for that. Don't want to take their foot off, the accelerator, even though they have got such a big margin.
This is a typically well-coached Liz Whiteside, isn't it? Like, they contest everything. There's no easy balls. They've got great, solid shooters.
Yeah.
It's the blueprint that Liz has brought for the last, as long as I can remember. I think 2002 is when we first had the Tier 1 system, and she's won, 10 or 12 of them or whatever it is,
Probably
and it's just,
yes.
it's the blueprint that's successful, and she's never wavered from it, and it's quite brilliant. I'm a big fan of Liz's coaching, always have been. So I think she handed my backside to me many times. So
you would be in a long list of many, don't worry, Missy.
Yeah, not Robinson Crusoe there. Yeah. So I think I beat her once, and I thought I'd won the World Cup the way I carried on. So I think she had like 8 players out or something. But
you don't worry about that. No one
semantics.
worries about that. Absolutely.
So they. Since about the halfway through the 3rd quarter, they've held it at 19, the Tigers. So can they eat into this lead? 3-2 this quarter. So
and can they please not lose by 27, or else I'll never hear the end of it?
If I get that right, I'm signing a new contract with you guys, adding a 0. So a little loose play there.
Yeah, good turnover there by Maddie Grant. Great to see attackers winning the ball back from their defensive effort.
So, of course, we've got another game coming up tonight. Yeah,
we do. We have the Wildcats versus the USC Thunder, the QT Wildcats versus the USC Thunder after this match.
7:20, I want to say. Is that right? 7:30. 5:20. 5:20? No.
No, 7:20.
We're way past.
Oh, gosh. This one was 5:20. What am I talking about? I don't know. When I get here, everything just... I forget about the world, Millsy.
Because you love the netball.
Lover of netball is life, isn't it? Great work there by the Tigers. Katie Walker again, using the fake, having confidence that Somerville would offer to her on the baseline, and she did.
She's had a great second half, Somerville, and since Walker's gone to centre, it's sort of helped her out a bit. She's had better quality ball into the circle. So, nice play there.
Yeah, well done, Mia Stour.
Quite brilliant there by the Cougars, sorry.
So we talked a bit earlier in the match between the difference between men's and women, Melzine. You had some great points in terms of, what those different attributes of the different styles of play. What did you think about the Cadbury series that they played over in New Zealand when the men got, to play on that big stage in terms of playing against the Silver Ferns and against...
Unbelievable concept.
Yeah.
Just goes to show how innovative the coach of the Silver Silver Ferns is, also the Sunny Coast coach.
Yep.
I thought it was a great concept. Never before has men's had that sort of coverage, media coverage.
Yep.
Not just on the TV itself. There was radio interviews. There was Facebook went berserk. Obviously, I'm friends with a lot of those guys on Facebook, so I got pretty much every feed that came in.
Yep.
I thought it was a great concept. I'm not sure if Australia's ready for that yet. I think the Diamonds is a very protected brand, which is great. Obviously, it's hard to say whether that helped the Silver Ferns, but they did win the World Cup, so you don't know. You know what I mean? You know whether that had any indication to it or not.
Definitely.
Yeah, you've got no idea, but margin's 22, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. So, but I thought it was fantastic. You know what I mean? And it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, till men's and ladies is all together, and the INF decide that men's is part of it. Like we've got it in cricket, soccer, and all the other sports.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's only a matter of time, and once that does, I think netball in general will grow. Not just men's, not just ladies. I think the whole sport will grow, and you can see how ladies has influenced men's sport. Like, I actually know some of the players that are in the ladies Australian soccer team, the Matildas. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Sam Kerr, like 2 years ago, I never heard of her. But, it's that sport is evolving, across all levels. And once men's is in, you've got an opportunity of making netball an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a tragedy that such a great game played, not so much in the Americas, but it's definitely played through Asia and Europe and, in the Pacific area, and it's not an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
And it appears the Olympic Committee is all about gender equality now. So, to me, it's a big positive if we can get men's in mainstream, and I guess New Zealand made the first step.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
yeah, we'll see what happens from there. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Netball Queensland have taken some steps too, including boys in particular as part of the state age tournament. There's a boys competition,
absolutely,
which has been fantastic. To see some of the young boys that do want to play netball as their sport of choice. Fantastic to see them play and also be able to participate in really our biggest kind of carnival for our junior athletes, and a great pathway for a lot of the athletes that are on the court today. They've all played in that state age competition, so I think it's if we want to see the men there on that big stage, we also need to make sure that we're looking after their development.
Well, Netball Queensland have been great. Like they had a men's comp, an actual open men's comp this year. I'm not sure why it didn't go ahead, but it didn't. I think with the restructuring, it just got sort of squeezed out. I believe it's come back soon. But it's they've been big supporters of men's netball. There's no doubt about it, and I believe there's close to some sort of affiliation between the men's and the ladies soon, and that's all positives, there's no negativity, and it's not about one's better than the other. It's about working, together and cohesive, and it's happening throughout other states as well. So it's only a matter of time until it's all married up, and once all the states are on, Netball Australia will probably take them to the wing as well, and then you'll see just a whole change of direction. Like you asked me about differences before. One of the big differences is money and sponsorship. We just don't have the resources that you guys have. And but having said that, we still put out a pretty good product. So
we'll watch and see. Hey?
Oh yeah, there's some incredible athletes. So
definitely,
it'll be great, and we're all lovers of netball.
Definitely. See, Amy Summer will take one of those shots I told you about before, Millsy. So
her second half's been as impressive as anyone. Unfortunately, just the ball we were talking about, she was getting some really poor passing in the first quarter, particularly, and they fought the margin back to 21 here. So only lost this quarter by 3. They need to score a snappy 6 for my prediction. Go Cougars. So. I can't believe I'm supporting the Cougars. Like, I coached the Lions for a million years. I was at the Jags before that. And Cougars was the team you wanted to beat, because they were just so damn good.
Yeah, well, nothing's changed there.
Yeah. And then, of course, the Tigers evolved, and they were good too. So
great shot there by young Maddie Grant. I think she's done a great job when she's entered the court on at goal attack. You can see she's a lot more comfortable and and got more confidence to turn and go to the post. And she's done that on a couple of occasions. In this last little bit, which has been nice to see.
They've scored 5 of the last 7, the Tigers. So now 5 of the last 8. So they're having a little crack here. So they're only down by 3, and you said it's very important they win a quarter, so they're not that far away.
Yeah, look, and I think against, a team like the Cougars, who really are the benchmark, they're sitting on top. They haven't actually lost the game. They've drawn a couple, but I think you want to be able to measure yourself against them. So whilst Tigers won't be happy at all with the scoreline, they will be wanting to, put out a quarter that they're proud of.
Another 2, nearly very close
almost,
to getting it.
Yeah, Good job there by Schuster. She had a great job at tipping it and coming through.
So cleaned up Bakewell Dorian there. So that was just a bit too easy, wasn't it? The ball just flowed down, no pressure.
Uncontested.
As a coach, you'd be fuming it. Oh, post helps.
It does help. You kind of feel the ball has bounced the Cougars' way this afternoon, but I think they put themselves in the position for that to happen.
I was going to say, it's the old story, you create your own luck. They've chased everything.
They have.
Not to say the Tigers have been slack, but it just looks like the Cougars seem more enthusiastic, want it more. The old cliche, whoever wants it more tends to win. So, and that run late in the second quarter when they, 14-5, that really hurt the Tigers and probably put the game beyond a result then. So
only down by 2 in this quarter, the Tigers, but Cougars are in possession and there's just under 3 minutes to go. So it's pretty clear that Riley Holland has probably been your favourite this afternoon on the court. Who else has stood up for you?
Well, I think the back three of the, for the first 3 quarters, I don't think Cougars made any changes on the back three. So it was Hinchliffe, Bakewell Dorian and Kamo. I thought they were sensational, and it didn't matter, they seemed to switch and change, and it didn't seem to affect them in any way, shape or form, and they got so much ball. It just made it easier. Holland's played well, don't get me wrong, but she's had some brilliant service.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's been a lot of turnovers, and so she's probably just had to really put the cherry on top. You know, she hasn't taken a lot of long bombs because her positioning's been brilliant and the passing's been as equally as good. So it's hard to pick one good player out of the Cougars because as a team they functioned well. Probably Kamo. She seems to have turned the ball over a lot, and to my opinion was playing on one of the better players of the Tigers in Somerville. So shut Somerville down in the first half.
Yeah.
I know she got that knock on the knee, which slowed her down a little bit. But, that's where it was won, you know what I mean? They got the game, they got so many turnovers early on. Tigers couldn't get in any groove whatsoever. And the Tigers are probably looking the best they've looked all match now.
Yeah.
And the margin's 23, 4 to go. So this needs to miss, but it doesn't, bugger. So...
Yeah, look, maybe we talked a lot about the influence of the ladder by today's result. Maybe that did affect the Tigers in terms of how they prepared and entered this match. I mean, I'd like to think that they've got enough experience in their line to not let that happen, but they didn't. They certainly didn't play that well in that first half in particular.
Yeah, you don't like to be critical, but it was a pretty awful first half by the Tigers, you know what I mean? And
by their standards, absolutely.
And I've watched a game or two here and there, and they've been one of the better teams. Their position in the ladder probably hasn't belied the way they've played. They've played better than where they sit, but today they have looked like a team that's outside the 4. Yeah. So surprising, Coach Bruce is a sensational coach, and I thought she would have had him up for this game, but maybe the pressure of the ladder got to them. Who knows?
Yeah,
sport's a funny thing.
Exactly, and knowing the result of that game earlier on, in terms of the Bull Sharks, and the points that they won may also have influenced. We'll never know, but you like to surmise and think about, because it's certainly not a performance that we were used to seeing from a Tigers outfit, particularly in that first half. Like you said, I also agree. I think they played better in this second half, but it's almost been a little too late for them.
So. Just going back to Holland, she's missed 1 shot for the match, so...
Yeah, amazing.
It's frighteningly good stats, so...
Definitely. And hasn't been against, we talk about Kamo on Somerville, so having a cracker, but also Holland had her match cut out for her with Gomez and Middleton back on her, so, done a fantastic job. You see the end of the game, Millsy, so what was the result there in the end?
Oh, it was a magnificent result, 67-44.
Was it your 27 like
No, 23. Considering I'm the new guy here, it's it's surprising that I got that close. But it was dominant pretty much from the get-go. They got the very first turnover, the Cougars, and they were never headed. I think it might have been 2-2 at one stage, but from that point on, they put the foot down and away they went. And like I say, I've talked about it a few times, but that little run, that 14-5 run late in the second quarter, it put the game beyond result there and then. And yeah, with the back three of Hinchcliffe, Baker, Will-Doran and Camo, they just looked in control the entire match, and the efforts of Walker and Haig and Somerville just wasn't enough today for the Tigers to get over the line.
No, definitely. And I think that first play when the Cougars did turn it over and their transition was really on point, I think that was a reflection of how we didn't realise that would be a reflection of how the game was going to pan out. And
that first play was sick. It looks like we've got a live ladder there. Is that the live ladder? Oh, no, it's not. That's the old ladder. 170 coming in, yeah.
But it looks like, so we're knowing that the Tigers didn't win any points for that, so we will remain at least for that 4. We see the match coming up between the USC Thunder and the QUT Wildcats, so potentially can influence maybe the positioning around the 1 and 2, or particularly 2 and 3, but probably not the 4. So it's not going to influence the Bull Sharks in terms of...
So today the Bull Sharks 73-36 over the Rays in Townsville, so that was a fairly dominant performance. You probably assume they got all the bonus points there.
Yep.
And the Tigers and Cougars got all the points, and we'll see what happens with Wildcats. They're travelling quite well in second place, I believe.
Yeah, they jumped to second after last week's results.
And they're taking on the 6th place Thunder, yeah?
Yeah.
So that should be a good game. We're coming back at 7:20. I'm back for that one, am I?
Yes, you're allowed back.
Welcome. Winning. So do we get the stats for the game come up, or what happens now?
I think we will not have the stats for the game. Oh, we may have the stats for the game.
Yeah,
so they will be coming shortly. So for the for the game coming up, Millsy, Wildcats versus the Thunder. Do you know the Wildcats were successful in that game? So it'll be interesting to see what in the first time that they played each other earlier in the series. The Wildcats did take the game.
It was pretty close, 60-51. But you're right, the Wildcats did get over the line.
So it'll be interesting to see, because the Thunder have had a lot of changes in their line over the last few weeks. I've caught a few of their games, and their attack line has almost been different every game. So it'll be interesting to see what they...
Super coach Gary Passion is running with the Thunder. Of course, he's playing as a men's coach. So,
we'll see what that game brings. But overview of this last game, centre pass conversions, 93% to the Tigers, 72. They did a good job to pull that back for 72, because they were quite much lower earlier in the match. Shooting percentage, again, stand out, 91% versus, the 75. So when you're getting, converting the majority of the ball that you get, it's really hard to, to beat a team like that if you're not doing the same. 34 turnovers as well. So the stats really weighing in favour of the Cougars.
They're scoring 7 out of every 10 turnovers, and that's why you got the massive margin. But the two things that stand out for me: 93% conversion rate, 52 out of 56. That's world championship type statistics. You don't see that often. That's incredible. And of course the 91% shooting, led mainly by Riley Holland, my new favourite player. So it's every stat there just screams dominant Cougars performance. Yeah,
definitely. And the score is reflected of that. So well done to the Brisbane North Cougars this afternoon. Victors over the Carina League's Tigers in the second match of round 12 of the HART Sapphire series. We're going to take a short break, Millsy.
Cool.
And be back shortly for the QT Thunder versus the USC Thunder versus the QT Wildcats. We'll see you soon.
Bye for now.